The twin suns of Zarathus hung low in the sky, painting the crystal forest with streaks of orange and purple. The air shimmered with strange energy, making the world feel alive in a way that was almost magical. Birds with translucent wings glided silently between the crystal trees, leaving trails of sparkling dust behind them. In the heart of this alien world lay the capital city, a sprawling network of towers carved from luminous stones, their surfaces glowing softly under the sun's fading light. At the center of the city, in the royal palace, chaos reigned. Guards rushed through corridors, their armor clanging like distant thunder. Whispers of fear spread through the halls. The Princess Lysera had fallen. She had been attacked by unknown assailants, and now she lay unconscious in her chamber, her life hanging by a fragile thread. Her skin, pale under the strange light, seemed almost ethereal, and her breathing was shallow. The palace healers worked frantically, but their efforts were in vain. Lysera's condition was beyond their knowledge. Her species' biology was unique, and none of their usual methods could revive her. Outside the palace, news of her fall had already reached the outskirts of the kingdom. Traders stopped in their tracks, farmers looked to the horizon in worry, and the alien military began to tighten its defenses. Any enemy watching from afar would know that Zarathus was vulnerable, and some already moved closer, drawn by opportunity. Among the shadows of the crystal forest, a lone figure approached the city gates. He was a human, a warrior named Kyle, sent by the interstellar peacekeeping force. His ship had detected a distress signal from Zarathus and guided him to this alien world. Kyle was tall and strong, his presence commanding attention even without armor. His eyes were sharp, scanning the forests for danger, and his mind worked quickly, assessing threats with a combination of logic and instinct. Kyle was not like the humans the Zarathians had met before. He had trained on distant planets, faced enemies that most species would never imagine, and survived countless battles. Yet in this moment he felt a strange unease. The planet was beautiful, almost hypnotic, but it carried an undercurrent of danger. He knew that this was not just a call for help. It was a test, one that could define the future of an entire civilization. The palace gates loomed ahead. Kale approached cautiously, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. The guards hesitated, their alien features sharp and unfamiliar. Their skin shimmered faintly under the twin suns, and their eyes glowed with a light that seemed almost unnatural. "Who are you?" demanded the tallest guard, his voice resonant and commanding. "I am Kyle of the Interstellar Peacekeeping Force," Kyle replied, his voice calm but firm. "I received your distress signal. I am here to help." The guards exchanged uncertain glances. The arrival of a human was rare, and trust was not given lightly on Zarathus. Yet the urgency in Kale's voice and the determination in his eyes convinced them to allow him entry. Inside the palace, the air was thick with tension. Healers moved in coordinated chaos, their hands glowing with healing energy as they tried to stabilize the princess. Kale's gaze immediately went to her. Lysera lay on a raised platform, covered in fine silks that shimmered like liquid starlight. Her face was pale, her breathing shallow, and her hands lay limp by her sides. "She is dying," whispered one healer, a woman with long crystalline hair. "We cannot help her. Our methods do not work." Kyle knelt beside her, studying her carefully. He reached out, placing a hand gently on her wrist. Despite the alien physiology, he could feel a faint pulse, a heartbeat weak but present. His instinct screamed at him that this princess, this alien being, could be saved, but not by conventional means. "What is wrong with her?" Kyle asked, looking up at the healers. "It is her life energy," said another healer, his voice heavy with sorrow. "It has been drained. Without it, she cannot awaken. Her species, they require a bond of life energy. Blood alone cannot help. Only one who shares willingly with courage and intent can give her the spark of life she needs." "But it is forbidden," Kale frowned. Forbidden or not, he would not stand by and watch her die. "Tell me what I must do," he said firmly. The healers hesitated. Sharing life energy was an ancient ritual, one that humans were not meant to perform. It was dangerous, and breaking the law of the kingdom could result in severe consequences. But Kale's resolve was clear. He would risk everything if it meant saving her life. "She will awaken only if her life energy is bound to another," said the head healer finally. "It is said that only one willing to risk their own life can succeed." You would Share your blood with her. But understand this, it is irreversible. The bond will change both of you forever. Kyle looked down at Lysera, her delicate features almost serene despite the danger she was in. I am ready, he said simply. Do not waste any more time. The healers nodded and prepared the ritual. A soft glow filled the chamber as Kyle drew a small amount of his blood, careful not to spill it. He approached Lysera and placed the blood near her chest. The moment it touched her skin, a strange warmth spread through the room. Sparks of light danced around the two of them, and a faint hum resonated from the walls themselves. Kale felt something unexpected, a connection, a deep and silent link to the princess. Images flashed in his mind, moments of her life, her fears, her joys, her dreams. He saw the weight of responsibility she carried, the pressure of ruling a kingdom, and the loneliness she felt despite the crowds around her. At the same time, Lysera stirred. Her fingers twitched and a faint glow returned to her eyes. Though she remained unconscious, her body seemed to recognize the presence of Kale's energy, responding to it in ways the healers had never seen before. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. Kale stayed by her side, unwavering. He could feel the strain in his own body, his strength slowly draining as the bond took hold. Yet he refused to falter. Every heartbeat of hers was a reminder of why he had come. Finally, Lysera's chest rose more steadily and her eyelids fluttered. A faint gasp escaped her lips as she opened her eyes. They were unlike anything Kale had ever seen, luminous, filled with wonder, and carrying a wisdom far beyond her years. She looked at him, and in that gaze he understood everything. Who are you? She whispered, her voice weak but filled with curiosity. I am Kale, he replied softly. I came to save you. Lysera's lips curved into a faint smile. You shared your life with me? She asked, awe in her voice. Kale nodded. I did what needed to be done. You are alive now. That is what matters. The healers watched in stunned silence. The impossible had happened. The human warrior had performed the forbidden act and saved the princess. In that moment, Kale had not only changed her fate but had begun to change the perception of humans on Zarathus forever. As the twin suns set completely, casting the city in a soft violet glow, Kale and Lysera remained together, the bond between them stronger than anyone could have imagined. Outside the palace walls, the distant rumble of enemy forces reminded them that danger had not vanished. But for the first time in days, hope had returned to the hearts of the people of Zarathus. Kale knew this was only the beginning. The bond he had formed with Lysera would be tested in ways neither of them could yet foresee. But one thing was certain. The courage, determination, and selflessness of one human had sparked a light in the darkness, a light that might just save an entire kingdom. And somewhere deep within her, Lysera felt it too, the stirring of strength, the rise of a will to fight, and the realization that humans were not just visitors from distant stars. They were allies, brave and capable, and perhaps, just perhaps, the key to the survival of her people. The night deepened, the stars shining bright above the crystal forests. Within the palace, a new chapter was beginning, one that would see the human warrior and the alien princess facing challenges together, learning from one another and discovering that unity, courage, and trust could overcome even the darkest of threats. The morning sun rose over Zarathus, sending golden light across the crystal forests and city towers. The air was cool and crisp, filled with the soft hum of alien wildlife waking to the day. Birds with translucent wings fluttered among the crystal branches, and in the city streets the people began to stir with cautious hope. Word of Princess Lysera's revival had already spread, though many could not believe it. A human had saved her. Kale sat beside the princess in her chamber, keeping watch as she slowly regained strength. Lysera's body still trembled occasionally, her breathing uneven. The bond they shared through the ritual was strong but fragile. Kale felt the subtle shifts of her life energy, as though it were a second heartbeat within him. Every pulse reminded him that this connection was not just physical. It was something far deeper, a link of courage, trust, and shared purpose. You saved me, Lysera said, her voice still weak but clear. Her eyes, luminous and full of intelligence, studied him carefully. I should not be alive. How did this happen? Kyle smiled faintly. I did what I had to. Your people needed you. I could not let you die. Lysera's gaze softened, but she still looked troubled. You risked your life, humans. They are strong, yes, but this is dangerous even for one of your kind. Why would you do this for me? Kale leaned back, his expression thoughtful. Because someone needed to. Because life matters. Because courage is not just about fighting. It's about standing up when others cannot. That's what humans do. That's what I do. Her eyes widened slightly, a mixture of awe and realization. I see in your spirit. It is unlike anything I have known. The head healer entered the room, a figure clad in flowing robes that shimmered with faint light. Princess, you are stable for now, but the ritual has bound your life to Kale's in a way that cannot be undone. You share a bond of energy, and through it he can feel your condition and you can sense his. You must be cautious. The bond strengthens you but also makes you vulnerable. Lysera nodded slowly, absorbing the meaning of the words. I understand. I will be careful. But I feel stronger. And yet I feel him. This human, I can sense his presence, his thoughts. It is strange and yet comforting. Kale felt the warmth of the bond in response. There was a subtle shift in his own energy, a sense of responsibility and connection that went beyond words. He had known humans could adapt, could survive, could overcome impossible odds, but he had never imagined forming such a deep connection with another being. The chamber doors opened again, and the royal council entered. Their faces were a mix of relief, suspicion, and awe. Humans were rare visitors, and few had ever seen one perform such a selfless act. They had expected Lysera to remain unconscious, perhaps even die. Instead, she was awake, revitalized, and alert. Princess, said the senior counselor, his voice trembling slightly. You are alive, thanks to this human. Is this true? Lysera looked at Kale, then back at the council. It is true. Kyle risked his life to save me. He shared his blood, and the bond he formed has given me life again. There was a murmur of shock among the council members. Some whispered of breaking tradition, of forbidden acts, but Kale remained calm, standing firmly by her side. His presence was steady, and in that steadiness there was reassurance. One council member, older and stern, finally spoke. This human has acted against our laws. Sharing life energy is forbidden. It is dangerous. What if something happens to the princess or him? Lysera's voice, though still weak, was firm. The danger has passed for now. The bond is strong, and Kale's actions have saved me. I trust him, and I am alive because of his courage. That should count for something. Kale nodded, understanding her meaning. It was not about rules or traditions, it was about courage, action, and the will to do what was right. As the council continued to debate, Lysera and Kale slipped away from the chamber, walking through the palace corridors. She was still weak, but with each step she felt her strength returning. The bond allowed her to draw energy subtly from Kale, enough to keep her steady without harming him. Outside, the city was waking, but tension hung in the air. Scouts reported that unknown forces had been spotted near the borders, taking advantage of the palace's recent turmoil. The kingdom was not safe. Lysera knew that her revival was only the beginning. She would need to lead her people, and she would need allies who could fight not just with strength but with wisdom. Kyle and Lysera reached a balcony overlooking the city. From there, they could see the glittering towers and the crystal forests beyond. The beauty of Zarathus was undeniable, but so was the danger that lay ahead. You must understand, Lysera said softly, her hand brushing against the balcony's glowing edge, that our enemies will see my weakness as an opportunity. They do not know that I have survived, but I cannot face them alone. You're kind. You are different. Humans think differently. You act differently. I need that strength. Kyle looked out at the horizon. You will not face them alone. Humans are brave, yes, but we also fight for others. That is what gives us strength. If we stand together, we can face anything. Lysera's eyes brightened, the first spark of determination returning fully. Then we must prepare. My people must learn to trust in more than tradition. They must see that courage and unity are what will save us. Over the next few days, Kale stayed with Lysera, teaching her what he knew about strategy, survival, and the power of adaptation. He showed her techniques used in human battles, ways to outthink an enemy rather than simply overpower them. Lysera absorbed the lessons quickly, her mind sharp despite her weakened body. She realized that the human's way of thinking was not just strong, it was liberating. The bond between them deepened with each passing moment. Through it, Kale could sense her fears, her hopes, and her growing confidence. Lysera, in turn, began to understand the depth of human courage. the willingness to risk everything for others, and the ingenuity that allowed humans to survive against impossible odds. One evening, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon again, painting the sky in fiery shades of red and gold, Kale and Lysera trained together in a private courtyard. The crystal trees around them glowed softly, reflecting their movements. Kale showed her how to move quickly, how to anticipate an opponent's attack, and how to remain calm under pressure. "You are learning fast," Kale said, impressed. "I did not expect such speed. Humans must fight many battles, but they also learn quickly. Adaptation is key." Lysera smiled, determination shining in her eyes. "I will not fail. My people need me, and I will not fail you either. You saved me, Kale. I cannot waste this chance." Their training was more than physical. It was mental, emotional, and spiritual. The bond allowed them to communicate in subtle ways, sharing thoughts and feelings without words. They learned to anticipate each other's actions, to move as one, and to face challenges together. As the night deepened, the distant rumble of the enemy army echoed from the borders. The kingdom was not yet safe, but Lysera felt a renewed sense of hope. With Kale by her side, with humans' courage and her people's loyalty, she believed that they could face whatever came next. And Kale, looking at her, realized that the human spirit was not just about survival. It was about inspiring others, about creating hope where there was none. Together they would face the coming storm. Together they would prove that unity, courage, and selfless action could overcome any threat. The stars shone brightly above the crystal forests, reflecting the bond that had formed between human and princess, a bond that would not only save a life, but could save an entire kingdom. The morning fog clung to the crystal forests of Zarathis, softening the glow of the twin suns as they rose over the horizon. From the palace balcony, Princess Lysera and Kyle watched the city awaken below. Traders opened their stalls, children ran through the streets, and the hum of alien life filled the air. Yet beneath the beauty, tension lingered. Scouts had reported movement at the kingdom's borders, and the unknown enemies were drawing closer. Lysera's body had regained much of its strength thanks to the bond she shared with Kale, but she still relied on his support. She had learned quickly how to draw energy from the bond to stabilize herself, but the act required care and focus. Even so, her mind was sharper than ever. She had a clear sense of purpose now, not just to survive, but to lead her people. Kyle stood beside her, observing the horizon. His instincts told him that the danger was real, yet he felt a quiet confidence in the princess. The bond between them had awakened more than her life. It had awakened understanding, trust, and a mutual respect that transcended worlds. "You are ready," Kyle said, his voice low. "But readiness is more than strength. It is also the mind. You must see the battlefield not as a place of fear, but as a place where strategy and courage meet. Humans fight with both. That is why we survive." Lysera nodded. "I understand. I have seen glimpses of your thoughts, Kale. Your mind is different from ours. Sharp, precise, yet calm even under pressure. I want to learn that. I want my people to learn it too." Kyle smiled faintly. "Then we have work to do." The first test of their collaboration came sooner than expected. Scouts returned with urgent news. A group of enemy forces had breached the outer forests, moving swiftly toward the city. Their numbers were unknown, but their speed suggested both skill and intent. Lysera felt a surge of adrenaline, tempered by the bond she shared with Kyle. Through it, she could sense his calm focus, his mind already working to formulate a plan. Kyle turned to the princess. "We cannot let them reach the city. We need to slow them, confuse them, and weaken their forces before they can strike. You will lead the palace defenders. I will guide a strike team through the forest. We act together but apart for now." Lysera's eyes brightened with determination. "I will do it. My people will follow me. I will not fail." As Kale and a small team of human and alien soldiers slipped into the shadows of the forest, Lysera rallied the palace forces. She moved among them, her voice calm yet commanding. "Our kingdom stands because of courage, not fear. Today we fight for our people, our homes, and our future. Trust in each other, trust in your strength, and act with purpose." Her words inspired the soldiers. Though many had never fought alongside humans, they began to see the wisdom in Kale's teachings. Adaptability, strategy, and courage beyond mere strength. The palace defenders formed defensive lines, hidden traps, and signals to confuse the approaching enemies. Meanwhile, Kale led his strike team through a network of crystal canyons, their path hidden from the main battlefield. The terrain was treacherous, but Kale's human training made him adept at reading it. He moved with precision, scanning every shadow, listening for the faintest sounds of movement. As they approached the enemy forces, Kyle signaled for his team to halt. From a distance, they could see the enemy's numbers, dozens of soldiers armed with strange energy weapons and moving in disciplined formations. It was a force larger than expected, but Kale's mind raced with possibilities. "Here is where humans excel," Kale whispered to his team. "We do not rely on numbers alone. We use ingenuity. We strike where they least expect it." Using the natural cover of the crystal canyons, Kale's team launched a series of precise attacks. They disabled the enemy's supply units, sabotaged energy sources, and created diversions that confused the main force. Every action was calculated, every move designed to weaken the enemy before they could reach the city. Back at the palace, Lysera coordinated with her soldiers. The bond with Kale allowed her to anticipate enemy movements, sensing shifts in their formation before they occurred. She positioned archers, energy cannons, and cavalry strategically, creating traps that funneled the enemy into vulnerable positions. Her leadership was unlike anything the kingdom had seen before, a combination of wisdom, courage, and the lessons she had learned from Kale. The battle began in earnest as the enemy forces reached the city outskirts. Confusion spread through their ranks as they encountered traps, ambushes, and unexpected resistance. Lysera's soldiers fought with renewed confidence, inspired by her presence and the strategies she employed. Kale's team struck from the shadows, striking key targets and retreating before the enemy could respond. During a brief lull, Lysera felt the bond with Kale vibrate subtly. He was close, yet his mind carried the strain of battle. She reached out through the bond, sending a surge of energy to strengthen him, just as he had strengthened her. The silent exchange between them was more than communication. It was trust, a deep understanding that transcended language or species. Kyle noticed the surge and felt renewed vigor. With it, he led a daring charge that disrupted the enemy's command line. Chaos spread among their forces, and their coordinated attack began to crumble. Lysera, seeing the opportunity, ordered a full counterattack. Her soldiers, moving with precision and confidence, pushed the enemy back, forcing them to retreat toward the forest. The battle was won, but it was not without cost. Some defenders were wounded, and the city had sustained minor damage. Lysera knelt beside her soldiers, offering comfort and support while Kale moved among the fallen, ensuring they were stabilized. The bond between them allowed them to coordinate effortlessly, turning what could have been a rout into a decisive victory. As night fell, the city lay quiet once more. Lysera stood on the balcony overlooking the skyline. The twin suns had set, leaving the city bathed in the gentle glow of the crystal towers. She felt a profound sense of clarity and understanding. Humans were not just strong, they were adaptable, courageous, and capable of inspiring others. Kale had shown her a new way of seeing the world, a way that combined strength, wisdom, and empathy. Kale joined her, his expression calm but thoughtful. "You did well," he said softly. "Your people saw your courage, and they will follow you because of it. Today you led them not just with words, but with action." Lysera turned to him, gratitude shining in her eyes. "And you taught me to see differently, Kale. I understand now that strength alone is not enough. Strategy, courage, and the will to act when others hesitate. That is what makes the difference." "Humans, you have shown me that," Kyle nodded. "And you reminded me why we fight, not for glory, not for conquest, but for hope. For those who cannot defend themselves, and for those who need courage to survive." The stars above Zarathus sparkled, reflecting the quiet bond that had formed between human and princess. In that moment, Lysera realized that the awakening she had experienced was not just physical. Her mind, her perspective, and her understanding of leadership had all shifted. Humans were not invaders or strangers. They were allies capable of inspiring hope and action in ways that transcended worlds. The bond between Kale and Lysera had grown stronger through shared struggle. They no longer needed words to communicate minor details. Through the connection, they could sense each other's intentions, anticipate actions, and support one another in ways that defied explanation. It was a partnership built on trust, courage, and a mutual desire to protect those who could not protect themselves. As the night deepened, Lysera turned to Kale. Tomorrow, we must prepare for what is next. The enemy will not forget today, and we must be ready. Kale placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We will be ready. Together we have strength, strategy, and courage. That is more than enough. The city slept, but both human and princess knew that the challenges ahead would test them further. Yet for the first time since the attack, there was confidence, unity, and hope. The awakening of the princess had sparked more than life. It had sparked understanding, and with understanding came power. And somewhere deep in the crystal forests and city streets, the people of Zarathus felt it too, a quiet but growing sense that their future was no longer uncertain. With courage, unity, and the bond between human and princess, they could face any threat. The night was calm, but the promise of adventure, challenge, and discovery lay just beyond the horizon. And human and alien alike would face it together, proving that courage, ingenuity, and trust could change the fate of worlds. The sun rose slowly over Zarathus, casting long shadows across the crystal towers and forests. The peaceful glow that had returned after the battle was gone, replaced by tension and urgency. Scouts had reported that the enemy forces were regrouping, preparing for a full siege on the capital. Their numbers were far larger now and their weapons more advanced. The kingdom faced its greatest threat yet. Princess Lysera stood on the palace balcony, her gaze sweeping across the horizon. The bond with Kale pulsed gently within her, giving her strength and clarity. She could sense his focus even from a distance, the calm confidence that humans carried in the face of danger. She drew a deep breath, letting the energy from the bond flow through her, steadying her mind and body. We have no time to waste, Kale said, joining her on the balcony. The enemy knows you are alive. They will not hold back. We need every advantage we can get. Lysera nodded. Then we must combine our strengths. The palace defenders will hold the walls, but we will need strategy beyond their usual tactics. Teach me, Kale. Show me how to fight not just with strength, but with ingenuity. Kale smiled faintly. Then we begin. Today your leadership will be tested, and your people will see courage in action. Inside the palace, preparations began at a rapid pace. Soldiers reinforced walls, energy cannons were calibrated, and scouts were sent to monitor enemy movements. Lysera moved among the troops, her presence inspiring confidence. She gave clear, precise orders, combining what she had learned from Kale with her own understanding of her people and their abilities. Place the archers on the northern towers, she instructed, pointing toward the approaching enemy path. The cavalry will be hidden in the eastern canyons. Set traps along the riverbeds. We will guide them where we want them to go. The soldiers moved quickly, inspired by her command. They had seen her revival and the bond she shared with Kale. That bond, they realized, was more than magic. It was courage, determination, and the will to act when others hesitated. Kale gathered his strike team near the forest edge. Listen carefully, he said. We will hit their supply lines first. Their weapons rely on energy crystals. If we can disable them, we weaken the entire army. Move quickly, strike precisely, and stay hidden. Remember, humans fight smart, not just hard. The team nodded, their trust in Kale absolute. They moved silently through the crystal forests, avoiding patrols and using the terrain to their advantage. Kale's human instincts and experience guided them, allowing them to approach the enemy encampment without being detected. Meanwhile, Lysera coordinated the palace defenses. Through the bond, she could sense the small movements of Kale's team, their successes and challenges. She used this information to adjust her own strategies, anticipating where the enemy would strike and preparing her forces accordingly. As the enemy approached the city, they encountered the first line of traps. Hidden pits and energy barriers slowed their advance, while strategically placed archers and energy cannons forced them into narrow passages. The enemy forces, expecting an easy conquest, found themselves confused and disorganized. Kale's team struck from the shadows. They disabled supply wagons and energy crystal caches, retreating before the enemy could respond. The precision and speed of their attack spread panic among the enemy soldiers. Every disruption forced the invaders to slow down, giving Lysera more time to strengthen the city's defenses. From the palace walls, Lysera observed the chaos with sharp focus. She directed soldiers to exploit weak points, using the enemy's confusion against them. Through the bond with Kale, She coordinated with the strike team, creating a seamless operation that combined human ingenuity and alien strength. Hours passed, and the battle intensified. The enemy attempted to regroup, but every move was anticipated by Lysera and Kale. Traps, ambushes, and clever diversions forced the enemy into disadvantageous positions. Lysera's soldiers fought with renewed confidence, inspired by their princess's courage and the human strategies Kale had taught them. During a brief lull, Lysera felt a surge through the bond. Kale was leading a small group deep within the enemy ranks, risking himself to disable their central command. She reached out with her energy, giving him support, strength, and focus. The silent exchange was powerful, more than words could express. It was trust, unity, and determination. Kale felt the surge and moved with renewed vigor. He struck decisively, disabling the enemy's command unit and cutting off communication between their units. Chaos spread through their forces, and their coordinated attack began to crumble. Lysera saw the opportunity and ordered a full counterattack. The palace forces surged forward, pushing the enemy back. Cavalry hidden in the eastern canyons emerged, striking the flanks of the invaders. Energy cannons rained precise fire, creating barriers that the enemy could not cross. Archers and soldiers worked together seamlessly, following Lysera's commands with precision and courage. The battle reached its climax as Kale rejoined the main battlefield. Together with Lysera, they led a decisive charge against the remaining enemy forces. Their coordination, guided by the bond, created a rhythm that the enemy could not counter. Every move of Kale's team was anticipated by Lysera's strategies, and every command from Lysera was executed with human-like precision by her soldiers. Finally, the enemy began to retreat. Their forces were scattered, disorganized, and demoralized. Lysera's city had survived, not just through strength but through strategy, courage, and unity. The people of Zarathis cheered from the palace walls, their hope restored and their trust in their princess reaffirmed. Exhausted but victorious, Lysera and Kale stood together on the balcony overlooking the city. The bond between them pulsed gently, a reminder of the strength they had drawn from one another. "You did it," Kyle said softly. "Your people followed because you showed them courage and wisdom. You led them with your mind as well as your heart." Lysera smiled, her eyes reflecting both exhaustion and triumph. "And you taught me that courage is not just about strength. It is about action, strategy, and trust. Today we have shown my people what humans can bring to the fight, and what we can achieve together." The night fell over Zarathis, quiet but alive with celebration. Soldiers tended to the wounded, citizens rejoiced, and the palace glowed softly under the twin moons. The bond between human and princess had proven itself in the crucible of battle, creating not just victory, but a new understanding between two worlds. Yet both Kale and Lysera knew that this was not the end. The enemy may have been defeated today, but threats would come again. Their bond, their courage, and their willingness to act together would continue to be tested. For now, however, the kingdom was safe. Lysera addressed her people from the palace balcony, her voice strong and clear. "Today we have faced danger and triumphed, not through fear but through courage and unity. Humans and Zarathians together have shown that hope, strategy, and action can overcome any threat. Let this victory remind us of what we are capable of when we trust each other and act with courage." The crowd erupted in cheers, their loyalty and trust in their princess renewed. Kale stood beside her quietly, watching the celebration. He had seen many battles in his life, but today's victory was unlike any other. It was not just the defeat of an enemy. It was proof that courage, ingenuity, and unity could inspire entire civilizations. As the stars shone above Zarathis, Lysera turned to Kale. "Tomorrow we rebuild. We prepare, and we remain ready for whatever comes next. Together." Kale nodded, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Together," he agreed, and in that quiet moment, under the glow of the crystal towers and the endless night sky, human and princess shared a silent promise to protect their people, to face challenges without fear, and to prove that courage, trust, and unity could conquer even the greatest dangers. The siege was over, but the bond they shared had grown stronger than ever, and beyond the horizon, new challenges waited. Challenges that would test their courage, their unity, and the extraordinary power of humans and aliens working together. The sun rose over Zarathis, bathing the crystal towers and forests in a warm golden light. The kingdom had survived the siege, but the battle had left scars, both in the land and in the hearts of its people. Yet hope was stronger than fear. The courage of Princess Lysera and the human warrior Kale had shown the people of Zarathis that unity, determination, and selfless action could overcome even the darkest threats. Lysera stood on the palace balcony, overlooking the city. Soldiers and citizens worked together to repair the damage, moving debris, rebuilding walls, and tending to the wounded. The twin moons had faded in the morning light, leaving the crystal towers sparkling like beacons of resilience. Lysera felt the bond with Kale pulse gently, a steady reminder of their shared strength and trust. "Your people have come far," Kale said, joining her. His voice carried quiet admiration. "They have seen courage, wisdom, and unity in action." "They will not forget it," Lysera nodded, "and neither will I. This bond we share, it has taught me more than I could have imagined. Humans are not just strong, they are resourceful, brave, and capable of inspiring others. I see now that my people can learn from this and we can grow stronger together." Kyle looked out at the city, sensing the renewed spirit of the citizens. "It is not just about strength, Princess. It is about hope. When people believe they can survive, they find courage they never knew they had. That is the true power humans bring, and now your people have that power as well." Lysera smiled softly. "Then we must ensure that this hope lasts. We cannot simply celebrate and forget. We must teach, train, and prepare. We must unite our strengths, human ingenuity and Zarathian wisdom, to face any future challenges." The palace council gathered shortly after, their expressions a mixture of respect and curiosity. They had witnessed the impossible, a human warrior saving the princess, guiding her people, and turning a potential disaster into a victory. Many still struggled to understand the bond between Kale and Lysera, but there was no denying its impact. "Princess Lysera," said the senior counselor, his voice solemn, "you have not only survived but led your people through peril. The guidance of this human has been remarkable. What do you propose for the future?" Lysera looked around the council chamber, her eyes steady and determined. "We will honor our traditions, but we will also embrace change. Courage, unity, and adaptability are as important as any law. We will train our soldiers in new strategies, encourage collaboration with humans, and foster understanding between our peoples. Together, we will ensure that Zarathis is stronger than ever." The council members exchanged glances, some hesitant, some inspired. Slowly, they nodded in agreement. The princess's words carried authority and vision, and the evidence of the recent victory left no room for doubt. Outside, the city continued to recover. Kale moved among the people, helping wherever he could, repairing equipment and training soldiers in human tactics. The citizens watched him with awe and respect. Humans were no longer distant legends. They were allies, capable of courage and selflessness that inspired even the bravest Zarathians. Lysera spent her time alongside him, learning and teaching. Through the bond, she could sense Kale's thoughts, anticipate his guidance, and even practice strategies together in silence. The connection between them had grown beyond survival. It was now a partnership built on mutual respect, trust, and shared purpose. One evening, as the twin moons rose, the city quieted for the first time since the battle. Lysera and Kale stood on the palace balcony, looking out over the glowing towers and forests. The night was calm, peaceful, and full of possibilities. "You have changed Zarathis," Kyle said softly, "not just by saving your life, but by showing what humans and Zarathians can achieve together." Lysera turned to him, her eyes reflecting the moonlight. "And you have changed me. You have taught me to see beyond fear, to act with courage, and to trust in others. This bond, it has done more than give me life. It has given me perspective, strength, and hope. For that I will always be grateful." Kyle smiled, a rare softness in his expression. "And I will carry this experience with me. Humans travel far and face many challenges, but today has reminded me of why we fight, for hope, for unity, and for those who cannot protect themselves." The bond between them pulsed gently, a quiet but powerful force. It was more than energy, it was trust, understanding, and a shared commitment to a future where humans and Zarathians could work together. As the city slept, Lysera walked through the crystal gardens with Kale. The soft glow of the plants illuminated their path, creating a serene and almost magical atmosphere. They spoke of plans for the kingdom, strategies for defense, and ideas for cultural exchange. Every word strengthened the bond and reaffirmed their shared purpose. You know, Lysera said with a faint smile, my people once feared humans. They believed we could not understand each other. But now they see that courage, ingenuity, and unity have no limits. It does not matter where we come from, only what we choose to do. Kyle nodded. And that is what humans have always shown. We face challenges not alone but together. We adapt, we protect, and we inspire. That is how we survive and thrive. And now your people can do the same. The next day, Lysera addressed the citizens of Zarathis from the palace balcony. The streets were filled with soldiers, families, and curious onlookers. Her voice was strong and clear, carrying across the city. People of Zarathis, today we celebrate not only our survival but our courage, our unity, and our strength. We have faced danger and triumphed because we stood together. We have learned that allies come from unexpected places, and that courage is found in the hearts of those willing to act for the greater good. Let this day be a reminder that hope, strategy, and unity will guide us into the future. The citizens cheered, their loyalty to the princess renewed. They had witnessed the impossible, felt the bond between human and princess, and understood that the future of Zarathis would be stronger because of it. Kael stood beside Lysera, quiet but proud. He had seen many battles, faced countless dangers, but this moment was different. It was not just a victory. It was a testament to courage, unity, and the power of collaboration between worlds. As the celebrations continued, Lysera turned to Kael. Our work is not done. The kingdom will need guidance, preparation, and protection, but I am no longer afraid. With humans like you and the strength of my people, we can face anything. Kael smiled. And I will be here, princess. Not just as a warrior, but as a partner, an ally, and a friend. Together, we will face whatever comes next. The twin moons rose fully over the city, casting a gentle glow over the crystal towers. In that light, human and princess stood side by side, united in purpose and vision. The bond they shared was more than energy. It was trust, understanding, and the promise of a brighter future. Beyond the palace walls, the citizens of Zarathis looked to the sky with renewed hope. Stories of courage, selflessness, and unity would be told for generations. Humans were no longer strangers, they were symbols of bravery, ingenuity, and the extraordinary potential that arose when different worlds worked together. In the quiet of the palace, Lysera and Kael watched the city below. The bond between them pulsed gently, a reminder of the journey they had shared. From danger and uncertainty to victory and understanding. Their connection was a testament to the courage that humans brought, the resilience of Zarathians, and the extraordinary possibilities of trust and unity. The kingdom was safe, for now. But more importantly, its people were inspired, its leaders strengthened, and its future bright. The human warrior and the alien princess had shown that when courage meets wisdom, and when trust binds hearts across worlds, no challenge is insurmountable. As the night deepened, Lysera placed her hand on Kael's. Thank you, she said softly. Not just for saving me, but for showing me what we can achieve together. For teaching me that courage and unity are stronger than any threat. Kael squeezed her hand gently. And thank you, princess, for showing me the strength of your people. We have both learned from each other, and together, we have created hope that will last far longer than any battle. The stars above Zarathis sparkled like diamonds, reflecting the promise of the future. Human and princess, warrior and leader stood together, ready for whatever lay ahead. Their bond was unbreakable, their courage unwavering, and their shared vision a beacon for all who would follow. A new dawn had come for Zarathis, a dawn of hope, unity, and endless possibilities. And at the heart of it stood a human warrior and an alien princess, bound not just by blood but by courage, trust, and the extraordinary power of collaboration.